So I know we had a little break in between our time together. What's been showing up for you since our last session?
Um, I feel like I haven't spent a lot of time reflecting, to be honest, on myself. It was like the trip was really grueling, and then when I came back, it was just like jumping right back into everything with the stuff that was going on for the weekend. So I haven't, yeah. I mean, I did spend the time reflecting and using the muse method, and actually Wednesday when we flew out, it was like a really, really long day. Just leaving the house at 5 a.m. and just kind of going until maybe 11 p.m. with driving and flying and everything. But I did take a moment to kind of check in with myself, because by the end of the night I was like and I couldn't find the hotel, or it was like an Airbnb, kind of like a part, it was called an apart hotel. I guess it was like an apartment hotel, but
Oh,
I couldn't find it, and then I didn't know where the parking was, and it had already been a super long day. I was like, okay, I'm about to lose my shit right now. So it was yeah, I did think of that and reflect on that and think okay, I need to take a minute and check in with myself and just kind of recoup.
yeah. So you stayed connected with self. You did
Mhm.
it consistently since we've been off. It's not about the reflecting always, but you stayed connected and valued yourself.
Mhm. Yes.
That's huge.
Mhm.
Even with all the chaos and the gruelingness of visiting schools and all of that.
Mhm.
Did you notice anything just by having that tool to stay connected to yourself and taking that time, even if it was just 3 minutes a day?
Mhm. 100%, because I did think about how early on in our when we started meeting, I don't remember what was going on, a weekend or something, and I was, feeling really drained by the end of it, and, was actually, losing my patience with the kids, because it was just like, "Oh my gosh," I'm super drained, and even though I didn't, reflect on things a lot, I guess, like you said, yeah, staying connected with myself, I feel had a big impact, because I definitely didn't feel that way at the end of it. I mean, it was grueling, and I was, physically tired, um, but it had, the potential to end up in me feeling, super drained, and I didn't.
Wow.
Yeah, which was, I mean, and I went in it with the mindset "Okay, we just gotta, this is gonna be, good time for us to, have just the 2 of us, and it'll be, seeing places that we haven't seen," which I always enjoy, but I knew that, the schedule itself would be really hard, so it has, yeah, the potential to kind of end in feeling really drained.
Yeah. So what does that mean for you going forward? Like now that you know that, like just by staying connected with yourself, even if you're not reflecting, what does that mean going forward? Like you were not drained like you've been in the past when you weren't connected.
Mhm. I think just keeping that idea of, prioritizing that time with myself to stay connected as, being in the forefront, because it's easy to kinda, let that slide. I mean, I feel like I've gotten into, I know they say it takes, 30 days to, create a new habit, and I feel like I've gotten into, a good pattern and, incorporated that into my day, and so I think making sure that I don't, lose sight of that, because it's easy to kind of fall back.
Right. Yes, it is. It's easy to go
Mhm.
back into what was comfortable and known and not connected and not valued
Mhm.
and not letting life touch you.
Mhm.
So that's that. And I ask that so that you can remember, like, in the, like, you're like, I don't need to do it because that comes up. I've been doing this work. I mean, I've been coaching for a long time, but the art of being work of like really investing in myself every day. And there was periods where I was like, yeah, I don't need it. But it was the cumulative effect. So when I stopped doing it, it wasn't that bad for the first few days. But then over time, I was like, whoa, I'm acting out of integrity. I'm not moving my emotions. I'm not oh, I need to stay connected every day. Just like your computer or like your phone. You charge your phone every day, right?
Mhm.
You connect your phone every day.
Mhm.
You're the same. Like you need to be connected to every day to be like, yep, I matter.
Mhm.
Even if that's all you do, that's already huge because you weren't drained like you've been in the past.
Mhm.
Could have easily been. And even like when you said like on Wednesday when it was such like a grueling long day, you remember to do the muse method.
Mhm.
Like when you were at like the like breaking point, and what did that do for you by like taking that moment to pause?
I was able to get through.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess just really like my goal was to just be like, okay, I need to like keep myself from like wanting to just like cry and be like, okay, I can't like, like this is too much, you
Yeah,
know? I don't know. Sometimes you just like feel like, oh, I just wish somebody else could figure everything else out. It gets like really tiring figuring everything out all the time.
it is. I know.
Um, but yeah, I get the goal was really to just kind of like walk myself off that ledge, before I like got to the other side.
And you were able to do that through connecting
Mhm.
and celebrating that, Sarah, because that's a huge, like it's showing that it is something that you're going to keep like returning to,
Mhm.
changing you. Like your
Mhm.
body uses like, oh my God, she's making me a priority finally.
Mhm.
Which with kids, it can be challenging, especially in the world that we live in.
Totally. No, and
Especially,
it's true, like how you said, I mean, yeah, do I really need to do this every day? But I mean, it's like working out. It's like, I mean, if I'm working out like once a month, I'm really not gonna like see, like results. So you gotta, yeah, consistency.
yeah. And staying connected to yourself is so important because we've been taught to connect to everybody else but ourselves, and then we're empty and we have nothing to give.
Mhm.
Now you're finding by me staying connected, and I'm feeling like the cumulative effect of like me staying connected, I'm able to still show up even when I have to keep making choices.
Mhm.
Really long grueling day, I can come back and walk myself back from the ledge and be like, okay, I got this.
Mhm. Yeah. Which I don't know. Yeah, I mean, which is a lot more meaningful than I think like maybe
Mm,
people would like perceive it to be. I mean, just I think especially like when you are like I mean, I guess maybe this is wrong, but I don't know. Like I feel like when you're living life like with a partner and you have like someone else to consistently rely on, it's kind of like sometimes you can be like, I'm feeling really tired or really like stressed. Like, can you just like do this?
mhm.
But when you don't have that option, um, it's easy to kind of like get to the point where you feel like, oh my gosh, like this is so much. It's just like too much for me to do all the time.
Yeah,
So for me, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just like it feels more significant than maybe it would be for other people.
I think it's significant for everybody. They just might not realize it and
Mhm.
rely on somebody outside of them. But what I'm hearing also and what you just shared is yes, like you're creating that connection to yourself and valuing yourself, but you're also like leaning into the universe to support you. Like you don't have to do it alone.
Mhm.
You were supported in that like finding the apartment thing, whatever that was called. I can't think what it's called.
A
Like,
part hotel, which I
yeah,
was
so
like, never
hotel,
heard of that before.
nor have I. But like you were supported to find that. Like that was something outside of you that helped guide you to find the parking, to find the place.
Mhm. Okay, good point. Yeah.
Does that resonate?
Yeah.
But by you staying connected, you were able to lean into that support to show you the way.
Mhm. You're right. Yeah, I guess I was thinking more of it in like I stayed connected and therefore I was able to like calm myself and like navigate the situation to, like, have it work out, but you're right. I mean, it was me, like, leaning into just being, like, open to guidance and, like,
Yeah,
not necessarily, like, being the one to, like, lead everything.
right. But it's a subtle shift, right? Because you didn't
Mhm.
fully lead it. Like just by you staying connected, you were open to receiving that guidance. Whereas if you would have gone over the edge, I don't know how open you would have been to that guidance.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't I mean, we won't know because you chose to stay connected and then it all worked for you.
Mhm. Okay, yeah. No, that's true. I guess, yeah, it kinda, like, goes back to my, like, struggle with being open to, like, having other people help me or, like, support me, and
Mhm.
even, like, just that idea of, like, kind of, like, leaning into, like, the universe and, like, not necessarily having to be the one to, like, navigate everything, like, I can
Right,
like, I am, but I'm not, like, I am the one, like, still doing it, but I'm, like, allowing myself to be open to that, like, guidance.
right. And what if, Sarah, by you being open to the guidance from the universe, it's also, and the support from the universe, it's also opening up possibility for people in your life to support you? Could that be true? Could that be
Mhm.
a possibility for you to see more of that support that's always been there? Like, when your cousin was staying there or other support outside of you.
Mhm. Yeah. I think it's just, like, one more avenue of me, like, I guess, opening up to that, like, softening my view on being like, "I gotta do everything myself," and, um, yeah, I mean, that I know is, like, a long process for me because it's been, like, a many, many, many years of
Probably your whole life.
yeah, right? So, yeah, it's not just like, "Oh, yeah, of course, that's easy," like, I'm totally open now all the time, I'm looking for people to help me, but, yeah, it's like I know that I'm, like, making progress in it.
Yeah. Because like if you're holding the posture of I've got to do it all myself, is there space for anybody else to step in and help you? The universe or anybody?
Mm-mm, no.
It's like, oh, you got it. Go ahead. You go. Get it.
Mhm,
Ver-
mhm,
you like, okay, I'm just gonna connect and oh my god, there was more support than I knew I even wanted.
mhm,
Like you needed it, but you didn't even know like how to get it. So just through you staying you connected, you didn't have to figure out how. It actually was
mhm,
gifted to you.
mhm. Yeah, I know, and I know that when I start to feel, like, anxious or overwhelmed, my go-to is kinda like to, pull back and just wanna, like, only do everything myself and just kinda, like, shut everybody else out, and that is going to be a hard habit to break, but I feel
Cool.
like I'm working on it.
You are. And what does that create for you? So when you feel anxious, so your body's like tensed up, right? And you're overwhelmed. Like, so like this is what's just happened. Is that true? Does it feel like it's like this?
Mhm,
Like narrowed in of like, okay, I gotta pull back. I've got to do it all myself. I've got to shut everything else down. What does that create for you? Because it's creating something, Sarah. It's not wrong.
I don't know, I guess like, a feeling of, like, protecting myself?
Okay, cool. So it's
Um,
action, anything else?
I don't know, I guess I just, like, allows me to be, like, completely focused on a goal that will alleviate those feelings. like whatever that is, like, oh, like there's a lot of stuff that needs to be scheduled for the kids and just like completely like focused on that so that I can get through it, get it all done, and then I can feel less stressed and less anxious about everything.
And does it help? Like when you keep your focus on the goal, that's going to alleviate the feelings like of getting the things done for the kids, appointments made, all the things. Does it does it support you?
At the end of it, I do feel better.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So
Yeah.
it's like you know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like you're in the tunnel. You're like, I just got to keep my eye there. I'm just going to get to the end of the tunnel, and at the end, I'll feel better.
Mhm.
So, what if you could have that feeling of support throughout that process as opposed to being in the tunnel, doing it all on your own, like being in the dark, kind of protecting yourself,
Mhm.
more ease on that journey
Mhm.
rather than just at the end? What if
Mhm.
there could be ease? Are you open to that?
Yeah. And that would be, I guess, like, part of what I'm looking for is, like, a more consistent stability in my life, right? Like, in my relationships, in the way that I feel, and I think, like, that way of operating lends itself to kind of, like, a little bit more of, like, the roller coaster where, like, yeah, I am, like, really focused, I'm feeling really stressed, I'm, like, removing myself from others, and then I you get to the end of that, I feel better, but there's not, like, a lot of, like, consistency in that.
Oh, yeah. So there's not a lot of consistency. And then I just heard you say you're removing yourself from others. So what kind of connections are you keeping outside of yourself in that process?
Yeah, I'm not.
Is that moving you towards your goal or away from your goal?
I guess in my mind, it's moving me toward my goal, which is, like, to alleviate the anxiety and, like, the stress by, like, getting everything done that needs to be done, and I'm used to putting my own well-being on, like, the back burner because it's like, okay, well, the way that I feel is kind of, like, secondary to, like, the things that I need to do.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to repeat that back to you. So in your mind, it's good because it's moving you towards the goal, but it's putting your own well-being on the back burner that doesn't matter, that you're just going to keep forcing yourself to move towards that goal because at the end of it, you'll feel better. But along
Mhm.
the way, you're like, I'm just going to sacrifice my own well-being. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep going.
Mhm.
That's sustainable for you?
I mean, I've been doing it for so long that probably, but it's not the way that I wanna live.
Right. Probably. Maybe.
Right? I mean, and I wouldn't be in this place that I
Right.
like, when we started meeting, like, I wouldn't be in a place where I felt like I wanted to make a change. So I
Right.
could probably sustain it, but I wouldn't be happy doing that.
Well, if you keep giving yourself the leftovers, are you really going to be like fed
Mm-mm.
and satiated? Like,
Mm-mm.
so yes, you could, and you want more. So are you willing to keep going after the more? Because your brain is going to tell you, you got this. We're just going to protect ourselves. We're going to keep our eye on the prize. We're going to stay focused. We're going to remove everybody else from ourselves. And I'm just going to get this done. Because in the past, it works, right?
It's worked, yeah, and it's a flawed idea that I think, like, most people in society have bought into, which is, like, the rat race, like, I'm gonna work, 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 and then one day when I retire, I'm gonna be able to do what I want, right?
Right.
And I feel like that's kinda like I apply that to my life, right? Like, I'm gonna one day I'll get to, like, my life will look like what I want it to look like, but for now, I'm just gonna, like, buckle down and, like, do all of this, but I
Mhm.
clearly have gotten to the point where, like, yeah, I want the life that I want now, and I can't get there if I just keep living my life the same way.
Right. Well, if you're buckled down, how are you going to get there? Because your mind's
Mhm.
buckled down to like what you've known.
Mhm.
So, do you know like do you know how that feels in your body? Like when you start to feel anxious and overwhelmed, like how does that show up? If you could name it. And if you can't, that's okay. And
Yeah, I totally like I was feeling like this yesterday actually. So, yeah, like I feel like kind of like my heart feels like it's racing. Just feel like overall like more like even like laying down, I feel like less restful, like I'm enjoying it less. Like my body's just more like I don't know, like agitated, I
okay,
guess. And my heart's racing. I mean, yeah, it always like makes my stomach feel kind of queasy. I'd say that's it.
okay. So your heart's racing, you're kind of more agitated, less restful, even when you do lay down, because your heart is kind of going, going, going. Your stomach is queasy.
Mhm.
So I have a couple ideas. Are you open to doing an experiment?
Mhm.
And is this where you want to lean in today? I just want to make sure that we're moving into this place that you want to lean into.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I also I read through your voice text about which I did find like really interesting about like things with Eduardo and women kind of confusing love with like other feelings of just like attachment and stuff like that. Which yeah, I'm open to talking to her about as well. So yeah.
Okay, I'll make that note too, because yeah, I felt like that was kind of poignant when I was reading that. I was like, I'm gonna share this with Sarah.
Mhm.
Because you're not the only one. All women do it. I did it. I did it for years in my marriage because that's what I had known and that's what we're taught to do. But there is another way where we're actually, I'll read that quote real quick and then we'll do our little experiment where love is as love does. So when we are loving, we are openly and honestly expressing care, affection, responsibility, respect, commitment, and trust. Like being aware of somebody's like spiritual growth and like caring for that. And that's genuine love,
Mhm.
unconditional love. And it's not what we've been taught.
Mhm.
So it's just opening up the possibility to that type of love that is fulfilling you and that isn't a contingent type of love or it isn't whatever else was there with it before.
Mhm.
So, okay, I had so the idea I had, and I don't know if this is if it resonates, but like when you said your heart is racing, is that like one of the first signs that kind of shows up for you, like the check engine light that you're starting to feel anxious and overwhelmed, or is it
Mhm. I would say yeah, that's first one.
okay? So what do you think of like if you were to act it out, and I'm going to do everything you do so you won't be alone, but if you were to act it out, how would it look if you were to like be a heart racing? Like if you were to do that, can you show me what that would look like in your body? And you can stand up, you can move. I'm going to do whatever you do.
What would it look like to be a heart like
Yeah, if you were
racing?
to act it out, if you were to act out of the heart racing, what does that look like? I'm already I'm guessing we're going to be standing. Just
I don't know. I'm like the least like creative person that you're ever gonna meet. Like I have no I
but
guess
think
it
about
would just be
somebody
like
right
moving really fast.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, do that. Feel how that feels. What do you notice in your body as you're moving really fast?
Um I mean, I guess things just feel like more like stressful.
Okay, it feels more stressful. Anything else? You can keep moving if you want. Just keep feeling it. More stressful. Anything else?
My body feels more fatigued.
More fatigued. Yep, you're even tireder. Okay, anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, so what might be the opposite of that? If you were to do the opposite, what could that be? Anything that comes to your mind.
If I was gonna do the opposite of that, it would be like I'd probably be like laying down, like completely like relaxed with like steady breathing.
Okay, could you experiment with that and just lay down for a minute and just notice what you feel in your body?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, if you need to go somewhere else. And I'm going to give you a little heads up. We're going to go back and forth between the two. So it's going to feel a little bit like, what the hell? But we're going to go there. Okay. So
Okay.
just lay down for a few breaths.
Okay.
Let your eyes go where they want to go. Just let your body land, feeling the opposite of your heart racing. And just notice what your experience is now. What do you notice here as you're laying on the earth and you're just being held?
I just feel way more relaxed. I mean, my body's like a lot calmer. I feel way more relaxed.
Okay. So you're calmer, more relaxed. So there's a little more ease in this, is what I'm hearing. Is that true?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So how might it be for us to play with the two? So going back to heart racing, and if it's just you sit up and you just start moving your arms to with your heart, that's okay. You don't have to stand up unless you want to.
No, yeah, I can stand up.
Okay. So now race again.
Okay.
Feel it in your body. And then go back down to laying down on the floor when you're ready.
Okay.
And and now just Sarah, just notice because you got to play with both of these things. And if you need to go back and race again, go ahead and race and then come back down. But which one, if you were to choose, which one would you like to choose?
Definitely the laying down.
Okay. So how might it be for you to start choosing something that's more relaxed and calmer and brings you a little more ease?
I would love that.
Oh, another thing I noticed is you were totally supported in that position when you're laying down
Uh-huh.
versus when you're racing. You're like on your feet, every part of you is moving, and you're like trying to get somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not, where are you being supported? Maybe under your feet, I guess with the air around you, but like you're trying to get somewhere. You're not here. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Versus when you're laying down, you're just here. You're not trying to get anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
So,
yeah.
so what if your mind is so used to racing around, doing it all, and that's its go-to? So when the anxiousness starts to show up and your heart starts to race, your mind's like, okay, time to put in protection mode, time to get back in that tunnel and remove everybody else from my life and just get to that goal of feeling better when this is complete.
Yeah.
Would would you be willing to start to have some conversations with your brain? When you start to notice your heart racing, so what I would invite, and go back to where you feel comfortable for our time.
And I definitely do that because like we talked about before, I'm very like goal oriented. So like when I feel stressed, I'm like, okay, like what can I do to not like what can I do like in the moment, like with my body, but like what task can I do to make myself feel better?
Right. And
Yeah.
when you, so what happens when you do that? When you allow yourself to focus on what task can I do to make myself feel better? You're not paying attention to your body, but what task can you do? What does that mean?
Hmm.
It's creating something.
I guess it's allowing me to feel like I have a way of like dealing with it and managing it to make it better. And
Okay.
like we said, for the time being, I will just kind of set my feelings aside, my
Right.
and so that way I can reach the goal and then I'll feel better.
Right. But in the moment, you said your heart is racing, you're more agitated, and your stomach is queasy. So in the moment, I'm almost getting the sense of like you can't even breathe fully.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like if I'm feeling super stressed, I usually can't get a deep breath.
Right. Versus like when you were laying down, were you able to breathe?
Mhm.
So what if your body's trying to tell you the way through your heart racing, and it's actually here's an invitation because it's like, I'm here to breathe some new life into you, but your brain takes over. And then it's like, what task can I do? Oh, I love you, brain. I know you want to work on a task. I'm going to do the Muse method.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I'm going to ask, where can I breathe and expand more? Out in nature. I'm going to go do that. That's my
Mhm.
task right now, brain. Would you be willing
Mhm.
to start to do that and then choose from that place?
Mhm. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I like the idea of incorporating my feelings more into like the whole experience instead of like setting them aside and then saying like, okay, I'll come back to you later and deal with you.
Right. So are you open to just start to move your emotions when they show up?
Mhm.
These messengers, energy and motion is it's a messenger here to invite you to something.
Mhm.
Takes over right now. It's not wrong. Thank you, brain, because we've given our brains too much to do. Our brains are trying to do so much. They aren't listening to our bodies. Because you just said totally disconnected from your body. What can I do to get to the end? How can I be and allow that to unfold where I'm going to get to the end, but I'm going to just be and I'm going to breathe and then I'm going to take the next step towards that task.
Mhm.
A place of, okay, I can breathe. I'm back here. I gave my body some space and I moved it in whatever direction that felt good. And then I took the action.
Mhm.
And you could even ask, like, what action am I being called to take right now? And your body's going to tell you. Your brain will too, of course, your brain. And you can listen to your brain in those moments like, oh, thank you, brain. But are you willing to have those conversations with your brain? Okay, brain, I love you. Thank you for bringing it up to the task. But I want you to be curious with what you notice in my body.
Okay. Yeah.
And we practice here so that you remember when it's harder. Because when you're in the anxiety and overwhelm, you're in the constriction. You're in that full protection mode. So your brain is doing the only thing it knows how to protect you. It's not wrong.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
know you're trying to protect me, but this isn't working. We have lots of proof that this doesn't work because I am not present anymore and I cannot feel life anymore.
Mhm.
Brain, I know you're protecting me, but we're going to do it a different way because I want to be touched by life. So just be curious, brain. Be curious what you notice with my body.
Mhm.
And it's getting your brain involved just in a different way than you have known up to this point of giving your brain the task of what it's working on as opposed to thinking about how to solve the problem and putting you in that go mode of going down the tunnel and removing everybody from your life.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Okay.
does that resonate to
Yeah.
practice?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that it's easy too to kind of when I like get to that place of like feeling overwhelmed or stressed and like allowing my thoughts to like kind of like spiral a little bit. So I think
Yeah.
um using that strategy to kind of like stay connected and kind of like cutting that like that the spiral and like the anxiety and stuff off and like or just yeah, not allowing it to like continue to grow and then like kind of setting it aside. Um
Well, what if we're using it rather than setting it aside? Because what I hear
mhm,
you say, tell me, please correct me if I'm wrong. Your thoughts start to spiral. So it's almost as if it creates like this tornado of energy and you get caught up in that tornado and you're overwhelmed, you're spinning, your heart is racing,
mhm,
your gut is clenching. It's like all of these feelings. But if you stop in the center of the tornado, it's calm.
mhm,
It's not spinning. In the center of the tornado, it's completely still.
mhm,
What might happen if you give yourself permission of you notice the spinning, you're in the tornado, you're in that vortex, you're like, okay, and we're going to practice it right now because you I can sense, is this true? You can almost like imagine that happening right now, like your brain's like, oh, I
mhm,
know what that's like. So let's do the Muse method. Let's practice it real time.
mhm. Okay.
Okay, so close your eyes, follow your breath, Breathe life into every cell of your being as if you're taking up more space. And now plug your hands in, let them sink in to more of you and just connect with what's here now, even if it is that sense of like anxiety, overwhelm, the spiraling thoughts. Connect with it, just being with it. You're not fixing it, you're not changing it, you're being with it like you would your best friend. And now let's expand as far as feels safe in this place. Just breathing life. Let's just see what happens in this minute of connection. Sarah, only if it feels right. Maybe bring your hands to your face somewhere, maybe cupping your cheeks or your jawline like a precious child, or maybe your hands would be on your forehead and your head. Bring your hands to just bring that awareness to the what you call the spiraling thoughts, wherever that might be. And just take 2 more breaths here. And we're just going to move this air emotion, which is anxiety. It's also an earth emotion. It's inviting you to breathe life. So now let's just open up our arms and just breathe and feel what that feels like as you open up your arms, keeping your eyes maybe closed if you can. And just notice, how does that feel? What do you notice as you open up here?
Um, I guess I just like feel like more of an openness like to the universe and to just like life in general instead of like a little bit more withdrawn, I guess.
So a more openness to life, to the universe, to everything in general, rather than withdrawn.
Hmm.
Just noticing, it could be where in your body, where in your life you get to choose, where can you breathe and expand more? Where do you feel like you can breathe and expand more?
I think like the area that seems to have like the most room for growth that I really would like that in is like that connection with myself
Mm.
and like changing my perspective and seeing like me being connected with myself and me supporting myself as like a positive instead of like, oh, I have to do everything alone, I guess. Because I feel like that's how I've been spending like most of my time thinking about that.
About being alone, is that what you were saying?
Yeah, and just like the responsibility that I have. Like I think it's a totally different perspective, like leaning into it and thinking like I can support myself through this and like I can look for support like in the universe. I can look for support like in others, but also like I can look for support within myself. And that's not like a bad thing.
Right. Well, what did you notice in that minute of connecting and then just opening up, like as we were being with the anxiety and the spiraling thoughts?
I would say like seem like they are like have less of a hold. Like they're kind of like their strength is diminished.
Okay. So just by being with it, not trying to fix it or change it, it lightened the hold on you, and it was the
Mhm.
power was diminished.
Mhm.
So how might that be to practice in your life to start to incorporate it when you notice?
Mhm.
What do you is there anything that comes to mind that that might create for you if you start to give yourself that permission to just slow down and connect and open up a little?
I think that doing that is like a healthier way of dealing with those feelings. Not like, the feelings of like stress and anxiety and overwhelm, like feeling overwhelmed, they're never going to like go away. I mean, that's just life. But I think understanding how to experience those feelings in like a healthier way and
Mm,
allowing myself to have them instead of just pushing them away
yeah.
is would be great for me.
So I know you didn't say this, but what I heard underneath that was like it could create more space for you, more support, more consistency.
Mhm. Mhm. Which is like a big thing that I've been wanting. Yeah.
Right. So as you're practicing this, you practice when you remember. If you forget, it's just information for your brain. When you accidentally go to the protection mode because that's what you've known your whole life, it's not wrong. Oh,
Mhm.
shoot. Like, just, it's interesting. Oh, shoot. There I go again. Well, that's not what I want. Just noticing it when you notice
Mhm.
it. Sometimes it'll be after the fact. Awesome. The fact that you even noticed it is huge, Sarah.
Mhm.
Like, okay, yep, at the end, I feel better, but I felt like crap throughout that process. I didn't eat
Mhm.
well. I like was barely present for my children. And that's more evidence for your brain that that old way isn't actually working.
Mhm.
And like, so you gather that information. And then when you do remember and you discover that even if it creates just a little bit more ease and you find yourself a little bit more supported, be like, holy crap, that's kind of huge.
Mhm.
Just acknowledging it when it happens, it like amplifies, like your muse is like, she sees me, she's honoring what's showing up in me, because I feel really overwhelmed in those moments where I have to do everything alone and I've got to figure it all out. But when
Mhm.
she stopped to just be with me and just be with herself, oh my God. And then I was supported.
Mhm.
So how does that
Mhm.
sound? It's not about like if you forget, you beat yourself up. Nope, nope. You just notice.
Mhm.
It's just noticing it and being with it and being like, okay, cool. Now I know. Thank you. Thank you, brain. You're doing so
Mhm.
good. We're going to do something different. We're going to listen to my body.
Mhm.
Like you notice after the fact, then you have that conversation with your brain. Like, thank you, brain, for protecting me. I love you. We're going to start listening to my body. So notice, body, just be curious with my body. Okay, brain? That's what your new task is. Be curious.
Mhm.
And through you just inviting your brain to be curious, it's going to start to notice when the anxiety shows up, and it's going to start to be like, huh, maybe we try it that other way because you kept telling me that this way wasn't working. Like,
Mhm.
cool.
Okay. Yeah.
And just experiment with it. That's what we're doing,
Mhm.
experimenting with life.
Mhm.
And then asking those questions out loud. So I asked you today in our session, but when you're alone, like you taking your own hand and having your hand and having your own back is, okay, where can I breathe and expand? Where can I create and connect? Because in those moments when you're overwhelmed, you don't want to connect. You don't want to create. You just want to get your task done.
Mhm.
So if you ask, because you're leaning into the air that the anxiety is, and then you're leaning into like the overwhelm, which is more of like an earth energy, earth emotion. So I'm going to relate it to like elements so that you can start to see it when it's happening real time and start to play with it. Like, oh, air is here. It wants me to breathe. It wants to open up. But every part of my brain and body goes like this out of protection.
Mhm.
Awesome. Cool. Now I know that. Okay, where can I breathe?
Mhm.
That might be getting outside. That might be reading your book. That might be whatever it is for you, where you just lean into that.
Mhm.
even if it's only for a few minutes, and then, okay, what action am I being called to take? Go take that action
Mhm.
and just see what happens.
Okay.
And
All right.
if you forget and you feel anxious, amplify the anxiousness. Feel the heart racing. Go do it. And then be like, "Oh yeah, that's not it. Let's lay down for a minute."
Mhm.
Like, let yourself play with it and amplify it, and then move into what it is you do want. I want to have
Mhm.
more consistency in meeting these things as they're arising. So I'm gonna play with you, just like you would your children, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Now you're creating that for yourself.
Yep. I think that sounds good.
Cool. So, so that's something you want to start experimenting with this week,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
playing with it, and literally when you ask the questions out loud, the reason we do that is because your body hears it, your ears hear it, your brain hears it. It creates a vibration of like we're doing things differently.
Mhm.
It starts to get your body, your brain more so on board with what your body is telling it.
Mhm.
So that's why speaking it out loud is really important, because when you say it, like just think it in your head, it stays in the darkness. It needs to get out into the light.
Yeah. No,
Because
I totally get that. Yeah.
because if it's in the darkness, your thoughts are spiraling. Now you're in that vortex again. You've ended up in that tornado.
Mhm.
And then just that's you saying, okay, I'm going to be calm and center in that tornado. I see you, tornado, and here I am in the center.
Mhm. Yeah, and
And now,
I have, like, seen in myself and, like, even with the kids, I mean, speaking those, like, thoughts, feelings, things out loud gives them less power, like the negative things, it gives them less power, so I do see the value in that.
yeah. And have you discovered, like, have you found that even if you speak out the negative things, it doesn't mean it's going to happen? It takes away its power almost. Is that true?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and even, like, when you're in conflict, like, with friendships or relationships, and I feel like you can have, thoughts, and then those just kinda, like, go to more thoughts and more thoughts, but then if you just say it and you, like, have a conversation about it, I just do feel like it is usually way more manageable and not nearly as bad as you thought it was gonna be.
Hmm. Right. Because your thoughts, look at where your brain can go with it. It can keep adding
Mhm.
to it, and it keeps adding to
Mhm.
it. You're like, oh crap.
Mhm.
And it's just because it stays in the darkness. It's like gremlins. I think I've shared that with you.
Mhm.
Just multiply in the dark. When you bring them into the light, they die. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
and there's your evidence. If your brain is like, I'm just going to keep thinking about it, be like, no, no. Remember, brain, I love you. Nope, that doesn't work. Makes it feel
Mhm.
worse. I'm going to start to
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Plus, it's acknowledging your brain. Like your brain is doing so good, Sarah. Like you have gotten to this point for a reason. But now you're just going to remind your brain, I'm going to keep you safe. Don't worry, I've got my back. Because your brain
Mhm.
going to do everything it can to protect and replicate what it has known. It is not wrong, but we want to go a different way. More
Mhm.
more consistency.
Mhm.
Create that.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah. And then I want to check in because I know we've got about 10 or 15 minutes left.
Yep.
What do you want to share around like the Eduardo thing and like what came up with that when you got my voice text?
I Yeah, I guess it was just, like, something to think about that I was like, "Okay, that makes sense," and I think for me, since I'm not, like, super and I haven't been, like, super in tune and, like, in touch with my feelings, it can be hard to, like, parse through, like, what different feelings are, and, like, that idea of, yeah, like, is it love? Is it connection? Like, is it what is it? And do we, like, kind of misinterpret some of our like feelings. Um, I don't know. It was just like really applicable. It just gave me something to like think about. And
Mm.
I think as like I try to be like more in tune with myself and like more connected to myself, I've had like more realizations and just like, I guess, more understanding of all of those like different parts of me. And I don't have any like answers. I just felt like it was like, wow, okay, this is definitely like another layer to like consider and think about.
Yeah, awesome. So you're just holding it right now.
Mhm.
Has anything shifted between you two, or is that still what it was?
It's still us. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, us like considering that like future together and considering like working things out. And I think where it just like I find it really hard to like let go, and it's like very feels really like complicated for me, is that like that idea of like the love being unconditional. Like I feel like with him, like the love is well, I guess that's, yeah, see, it's complicated. Like it feels unconditional in a lot of ways. Like I can totally be myself. I could like let my hair go gray and like not do anything. Like none of that would matter. It would be like, I still love you for you because I love you. But and then when I'm saying that, I'm like, yeah, there are some conditions with that though, as far as like not doing things that would make him feel insecure, because that is when I do those things, then it's like fair game to like lash out, and hurt and anger.
Yeah,
Um, Even though like I feel like, some of those things have been beyond my control, but
right.
um I think that's like where I struggle a lot. Yeah. Cause I do feel like with him, like I never feel like when I say something, he'd never like say like, oh my gosh, that's like so dumb. Like, why would you say that? And I feel like
Yeah.
I can totally be myself. And
Okay.
there's no like, yeah, pretense. But I also recognize that with that comes the times when he feels like hurt and lashes out, which are always going to be there.
Okay. So you said you feel like you can totally be yourself, except for when you're to what I heard you say is, and correct me, is when you're trying not to do things to make him feel insecure. So are you really being yourself if you're trying not to do things to make him feel insecure? Because is that your responsibility?
No, but then I like think about any relationship, friendship, like family relationship, anything that I have in my life. Like, is there anyone where there that doesn't exist,
Hmm.
where you aren't aware of something, or like
Yeah.
holding something back, and I don't think that exists for me. I mean, I don't know if that exists for anybody. I mean, like with the kids, I don't know, it's just like there's always something.
Okay. Well, what if rather than working on what's going to be with you and Eduardo, that can be what it's going to be for until you choose different.
Mhm.
Are you willing to stop divorcing yourself from yourself?
Mhm.
So are you divorcing yourself from yourself when you are trying to not do things that will make him feel insecure? Like, are you? shrinking down in that moment a little bit, even just a little bit.
I would say yeah, because I mean, I'm modifying, like, who I truly am,
Right.
and basically out of, like, fear of, him interpreting it differently, I guess, than I would. Like, it could be anything. Like, it could be even, yeah, like, even we're at, like, one of the kids' soccer games once, like, where I was looking, and then he was like, "Oh, are you, like, checking out that dad?" And I was, like, thinking, "I don't who?" Like, I wasn't even thinking about that, but it's like the perception is there.
Right. So, are you psychic?
No.
Okay. I was like, man, you got some skill. You got mad skill if you're being like, okay, he's going to get upset about this. So I better shift and not look that direction.
No, I'm not.
Cool. So, what if you just start to notice when you're starting to modify yourself and you're starting to like try? I'm going to put it in air quotes because when we're trying, we're not being.
Mhm.
Trying to make sure you don't make him upset or somebody else upset, you're now putting yourself into a little box, a little prison. You're belting yourself down again.
Mhm.
Just notice when it shows up. It's just information. That's all you're doing is gathering some information right now. Because there might be moments where you do it a little bit more because you said that you don't know if there's any relationship where there aren't some conditions. Well, what if we, rather than working on that outside of you, we start to work on that for you? Like where you
Mhm.
start to love yourself unconditionally and not put those conditions around you.
Mhm.
Start to have it your own back.
Yeah, which I definitely want. And when I, like, see my kids, especially, like, my girls, and, like, as, like, teens, and, like, think about, like, where I am now, like, in my mid-40s, I'm like, "Wow," like, girls especially just, like, give so much of themselves to, like, what does everybody think about me? And, like, there's so much energy spent on that. And I do think, like, as we get older, like, I know women have said, like, yeah, like, your 50s are the best because, like, you just, like, don't care anymore, like, about what people think. And I can definitely feel that in myself, like, that movement way more than, like, when I was young.
Yeah.
So I do like that idea of, like,
Right.
placing that weight on myself and, like, having my own back. Because yeah, like we've talked about, I can't control what other people do, and I can't, like, control, I mean, their actions, their beliefs, their thoughts and stuff. All I can do is, like, focus on myself.
Yeah. So would you just start to notice that? Start to pay attention. And when you do, when you notice it, awesome. When you don't notice it, awesome. There's not a wrong way. But when you notice that you're modifying, and I might use a different word and it might sting, I'm just going to give you a heads up. When you notice you're manipulating yourself,
Mhm.
just start to notice and be like, oh, that's not it.
Mhm.
And just notice what's happening in you when you do notice, even if it's after the fact. If it's in the moment, awesome. If it's after, awesome. And just be with that. If you can do the muse method and be like, I see you, I'm going to have my own back. I don't want to do that
Mhm.
because we've been taught to become mind readers and we cannot interpret how somebody else is going to perceive something.
Mhm.
So this is just moving us in that direction to really creating that unconditional love here first and foremost in you so that you can start to create it outside of you
Mhm.
with or without Eduardo. I don't know that. We don't actually have to know that right now.
Mhm.
Working on you
Mhm.
because you'll discover what is for you going forward.
Mhm.
How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. And if I say anything and it feels like it's too much, you can always correct me and be like, yeah, no, that's too much. Awesome. Let me know
Okay.
because it might feel like it. Okay. So I know today, oh, so what are you walking away with today from our time together?
a reminder to continue to focus on myself because really, I mean, I'm the only in my like life experiences, all I can do is just like not like necessarily control, but I mean, I just I can't control anything else outside of me. So I can just like try to navigate myself through things and um allowing myself to have my feelings instead of pushing them away and like allowing myself to continue to experience them and use it as like an avenue to move forward productively instead of like minimizing them until I get on the other side and then being like, whew, okay, breathing a sigh of relief.
uh, I love that, like your awareness around that, like minimizing them in the moment, like suppressing them, and then, ah, okay, now that's over.
Mhm.
um, and would you like to continue to work on like the language of your emotions and really starting to understand the messages that they might have for you?
Mhm.
Okay. And as you see, like it's working with what's alive for you so that it's real time so you can start implementing it in your life.
Mhm.
Um, and then would you like to continue to work on like even creating more consistency with yourself and really maybe more of that unconditional love of like deeply honoring yourself, thereby honoring all?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Was there more that you're walking away with, or does that feel complete for now?
No, that yeah, that feels complete.
Okay, awesome. And then I was curious, do you have a couple extra minutes?
Yeah,
Did you play it around at all with the impossibility journal? It's okay if you didn't. I was just curious.
I did not. I mean, I did think about it a little bit and I did not do the journal.
Awesome. And remember, journal can just be speaking it out loud. You don't have to physically write it. You don't have to voice record it. You can just out loud speak it out, like as you're going to bed after you do the muse method. You
Uh-huh.
appreciation and then speak into whatever feels impossible.
Okay.
Like it feels impossible that I could be supported and not have to do everything alone. It feels impossible that, that I could have consistency in my life. Like the things that might still feel impossible right now, you just start to name them out because now your brain's going to start to look for those things
Mhm.
that you are actually calling in.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you're
Mhm.
calling in more support, and that might be right now with yourself in the universe, but you're also calling in more support than that.
Mhm.
So it might still feel impossible and you don't have to know how, but when you can get yourself out of the way and put the how down, the answer will reveal itself just like it did when you were driving Wednesday night.
Mhm.
I promise it happens that easily. And it is easy, but we make it really hard.
Mhm.
And it's like being with whatever's here. So we'll just keep working with it because I know today was session 12, so I didn't know how you wanted to continue working together because we can do another 12 sessions, continue the work, or we can do like month by month. I don't know what you'd like to do, so I wanted to give you the option.
So, what do you think about I mean, I don't know, like, how, like, structured or, like, firm you are and, like, how you typically structure things, but I've got about, like, 2 weeks before the kids all get out of school, and, like, things I feel like are gonna be a lot more chaotic, just with, like, my day-to-day kind of, like, changing every day.
Yeah.
Um, would we be able to do, like, 2 more sessions, or do you, like, typically like to do, like, a month at a time, or I don't know.
Well, we could do either like just do like per session, or we can do like you buy, let's say, a month and we spread it out.
Okay.
Or and we might shift our time. So like what we would do is since the kids are going to be home after 2 weeks, is we might look at when would be a more supportive time for you to meet. before
Mhm.
we begin like the activities with the kids.
Mhm.
We could change that
Mhm.
and then shift and have a different, yeah, have that different.
Okay.
Because it would be like either we would do like per session, which would be like 145 a session. So we could do like I would do like 280 for 2 sessions, or
Okay.
put for I have to calculator. I'm better when I have to look at numbers. Or we would do 540 for 4 sessions. So it's a little bit of a discount, saving $20 by doing it as a 4 pack.
I think
Or
I think I'm would prefer to do I'll pay for the 2 sessions. Like, I feel like that's gonna be better for me, yeah, because I know after that, like, my son's gonna come home from college, his friend that lived with us before is gonna be living with us again, and I know every day is just gonna be, like, totally different.
yeah,
And so,
perfect.
yeah, I think that maybe
Yeah,
I do that and then kinda, like, get through the summer and, like, reassess.
that's perfect. And if you're in the summer months and you're feeling like I need support, reach out. Like I'll if you're okay, I'll run the 2 sessions, the 280, and then we'll do the next 2 weeks. And then if you're in the summer months and like after you just need support, reach out and we'll find a time that could work. Maybe it's in the morning before the activities start. After you go to the gym, you stop at stop at the library and you get one of the rooms and you have a little bit of your own space to meet.
Mhm,
So there's ways that we could work it so that you don't have to be at home with the kids present, where you find a safe space. It could even be out at Independence Grove. You stop there
mhm,
on the way home, and we meet on your phone in Independence
mhm,
Grove.
mhm.
So because sometimes
Okay.
when you're in the rhythm of like full mom mode, it's easy to put yourself again on the back burner.
Mhm. I know, and I mean, even, like, with the impending summer, I'm like in some ways, I'm like, "Oh, it'll be nice because it's, like, gonna be a lot less structured, like, in the
Yeah.
evenings and stuff," but at the same time, I'm like,
Right.
"Okay," and then I'm gonna have, like, no and now that, like, the kids are, like, really little anymore and, like but people are always gonna, like, want, like, time and attention.
Right. Right. So, and just knowing what it's been for you in the past with what you've shared, it's easy to
Mhm.
put yourself on the back burner. So that's why I'm saying, let's do these 2 sessions and then at least probably take 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get into summer mode. Then
Mhm.
we'll check in and even we'll just schedule like a brief check-in call, probably in the morning time after the gym, and just see how you're doing because I want to make sure you feel supported as you're going forward because
Mhm.
you said it. This new way is it feels really good, but it could be really easy to go back to what was and go
Mhm.
back into the task mode, the do mode. So
Mhm.
support might be really good for you this summer too. So
Mhm.
I think we just stay open and experiment and let's see what unfolds.
Yeah. I think that sounds good, yeah.
Okay,
For
beautiful.
sure. Yeah, and I'm hoping that in the summer, because things are less structured, I'm going to be able to make some of the get-togethers because we
Mm,
just don't have the same, like,
yeah,
nighttime, routine, like, strict routine
yeah,
that we've got going on, so
yeah. I would love that, and I
yeah.
hope you can put some of the dates on your calendar tentatively.
Yeah,
Because if it isn't scheduled, it's not real. It makes it more real of, hey, mom's going out Thursday night, whatever night it is.
totally.
I already know so that they're last minute like, hey, I want to go here. Nope, mom's got plans.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mhm.
some of those things on your schedule. And then yeah, I look forward to seeing you then next Tuesday.
Okay, yeah.
And I'll follow up with all the goodies. I'll put the I'm losing what it's called. What's it called? The journal at night. The impossibility journal. I'll put that on
Yes.
again too to just keep playing with. And
Okay.
it's about perfection, Sarah. If you remember it, great. And if you don't, great. It's not wrong.
Mhm. Okay. Alright,
Okay,
sounds
cool.
good. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
You're welcome. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Okay.
All right.
Alright. Bye.